Welcome to Scorched Earth and a shadow reading for Aquarius, Sun, Moon and Ascendant. This is something that I've been wanting to do for a while, but it wasn't until I received this deck a couple of days ago, Mildred Payne's Oracle of Black Enchantment, that I kind of realised how I could go about it. Like I said, it's just a trial, so give me some feedback in the comments, tell me what you think, if you would be interested in seeing an expanded, more comprehensive version of this, because I certainly have decks that would lend themselves to it. But the idea is that it opens up a dialogue between you and your shadow, right? That's that part of you that you stuff all the things that you find objectionable about yourself into and refuse to acknowledge exists. Right? And quite often you will find the shadow starts popping out in ways that you judge other people and, reactions that you have that you cannot explain. Psychoanalysts think that up to 90% of our reactions are from the unconscious. And we cannot pinpoint why we've reacted a certain way because we're not consciously aware of it. So the idea is to build a bridge between these two things, and then, the unconscious and the conscious, and let them speak to each other, right? Incorporation, that's what we're about. So this is going to be like 5-6 minutes probably max. And the idea is that we'll pull 3 cards, one for the main concern, one for the root cause, and one for the recommendation, and see what insights it gives us into the Aquarian shadow. I gotta be honest, I've been struggling with you all day. I've done tons of readings, and Aquarius, you just, I'm finding it very difficult to pinpoint your shadow. And part of me is starting to wonder if it's because Aquarians have less of a shadow than anyone else. I don't know. It just occurred to me there, but literally hours. I've been doing other readings, then coming back and trying to do yours, and it's just, it's not happening. So, hopefully this time will be good. So I'm just going to shuffle 1, 2, 3 times, and then I'll take the top 3 cards and see what it says. So card number 4 is the main concern. 15 is the root cause. That's a hella card. And the recommendation is 52. Right. So I'm not terribly familiar with these cards because, like I said, I only got the deck 2 days ago. So I'm going to refer to the PDF document. Right. Once I've got them learned, then I won't have to do this. But for now, the card is abduction. Black Mary runs away after stealing an innocent child from its loving home. A simple path leads directly to her decrepit house in the woods, where she will try and raise the child on her own. And the meaning is loss, stolen property, robbery, something or someone taken from you prematurely. Now, because we're talking about the shadow, right, it says to me almost immediately that this is a loss in your life somewhere that has had an effect on you that you have not necessarily entirely dealt with, or you shoved your reaction to it into the shadow, right, for whatever reason. The root cause is 15, Lucifer. And the dark meaning is unchecked malevolence, a totalitarian leader, servitude. The funny thing that I'm thinking as I'm looking at this is that the Emperor is what came up for you an awful lot in the YouTube reading, but also in the extended reading. The Emperor was all over that. And the main thrust of the reading was you second-guessing your ability to take a risk. I think I'm kind of paraphrasing somewhat. Because there was a point where you were in charge before, in a very similar situation. I say in charge, and you were called to take a risk, and you took the risk, and it didn't pay off the way that you hoped that it did, right? Now, in that reading, there was an emperor in your life, but also you were the emperor at times too. And it's funny how it's got me thinking down that train of thought, because it seems to be hidden in your psyche somewhere is a fear of repeating that kind of emperor energy that you were subjected to at some point in your past, right? In your formative years, I would say. And maybe that person is lost to you now in some way, and there are feelings associated with that person that you find difficult to deal with. Like, you know, when we have somebody who is sort of maybe borderline abusive, and you know, to the worst degree, but controlling, maybe, you know, a bit cold, all of those things that the Emperor is associated with in its kind of negative aspect. When that person then leaves, or dies, or, you know, is no longer in our energetic sphere anymore, there could be grief, but there could be relief too. And then there could be, further down the line, a fear of becoming that thing itself, right? Now, the idea of these readings is it's giving you a starting point to kind of unpick somewhat. And I find it really interesting that all of this has come out, because Aquarians do sometimes get a reputation for being a little bit cold, because you're not about the relationships that are in front of you. You tend to be quite, you know, you see quite far into the distance, and kind of all of this stuff down here isn't what holds your attention. The problem with that is that it comes off as cold to other people, and maybe that is something of the what's the word I'm looking for? Example that was set for you in your formative years, and you're just kind of following that. But deep down, there's a real fear that you kind of embrace it just a little bit too hard. Now, the recommendation was card 52. And this is interesting because we've got these black, malevolent, single figures here. But I notice immediately that there are lots of people here. So let's have a look at number 52 and see what it means for you. It's the witch's Sabbath. Deep in the heart of the woods, the witches celebrate the Sabbath under the hypnotic moon. The witch queen raises her arms to conjure up darkness, while her coven takes part in various forms of forbidden pleasures. Hello. Oh yeah, man. I can see the forbidden pleasures. Right? Check it out. Now, the recommendation is celebration within a group. Reunion. Right? Now, you could take that to be a push towards reuniting you with that little bit of you that is hidden, that is repressed, that dealt badly with cold people when you were very, very small. Or it could be talking about finding solace in group activities, in your social circle, right? Sometimes when we're cold, there can be all sorts of reasons about why we're cold, but kind of like emotionally locked down because we do not consider it important. It's because our needs, our emotional needs, were not really tended to when we were very young. And so what we were taught that emotions are bad, emotions are childish, emotions are, you know, daft. What you need to do is be very cold and logical, and you know, all of the things that the King of Swords actually represents, which is your card. But that isn't always necessarily just because you're an Aquarius, and just because there are all of these things, it doesn't mean that you cannot feel emotion. It does not mean that it is contrary to your nature to feel emotion. It means that somewhere in your shadow there is a reflex kind of swerving of anything remotely emotional, right? I don't know if I've explained that very well, but that's what we're going to go with for now. So I'm going to leave it there. Like I said, give me some feedback, because I would genuinely actually like to start fleshing these out into something quite comprehensive, rather than just using one deck and kind of skimming the surface. Because shadow work, well, you got to start somewhere with shadow work, right? And you tend to find there's a kind of domino effect, because once you kind of track one thing back, something that generally is usually quite a large part of your personality and who you are, and you just assume that's what it is to be you, you can track it back to, you know, an event or a series of events or a series of feelings when you were very, very young that have formulated the way that you approach things, right? Now, if you can kind of pull that child out and go, "Hi, sorry," you know, give yourself a bit of emotion, give yourself a bit of compassion, opens you up to people, right? We've got that social situation there. I'm just fucking burbling now anyway, but you take my point. So let me know what you think, and yeah, I'll see you soon.